Hello viewers, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I promised a reading on Australian politics and I'm here to deliver. Now, I've been catching up on Australian politics over the last couple of days for various reasons, and I have some questions here that I'm going to ask. Some of my Australian viewers have come forward and said, please reread, even though I've already read. I'm going to do another update. For viewers who are interested in Australian politics, we have two parties here in Australia. We have the Liberal National Party, sometimes referred to as a coalition party, is actually like the Tories in England and is like your Republican Party in America. And we also have the Australian Labor Party. I'll refer to them as the ALP, which is like your Democrats in America, and it's like the Labor Party in Jeremy Corbyn's Labor Party in England. So the coalition and the ALP. Now, the coalition has been in for two terms. They are fairly on the nose, as we say here in Australia. It should have been a walk-in for the ALP to take government. However, the polls are narrowing. Why are the polls narrowing? So showing the coalition, not drawing ahead, but gaining ground, is because of this right-wing rhetoric, this fear-mongering that, I think Barack Obama actually spoke about it. The USA former president spoke about the politics of fear being the old way. However, the politics of fear can influence a certain segment of the society. Now, will that be enough? Okay, that's what I want to ask. So let's start off with, what are the Australian voters thinking at the moment? What are the general conditions? Why is the coalition gaining ground? So we'll start off with that question. What are Australian voters thinking at the moment? Okay, what are Australian voters thinking at the moment? I'm getting quite a heavy religious theme coming here as well. Now, the coalition leader is a member of the Hillsong Church, so I'm thinking that we shouldn't be underestimating those traditional kind of values. Associating religion with with right-winged politics, the kind of traditions. When the politics of fear is used, then it appeals to those people who are fearful about change. And so I feel this is why the coalition government is gaining ground, because people are fearful. Some people are fearful of change, and the politics of fear are fueling this fear. This fear of change. Okay, what are voters thinking? Because that's not the entire story here. And I'm getting a strong pull on climate change. I feel that this is a sleeper issue. I feel that Australians are very worried about climate change. What are voters thinking? I'm using my Aquarian deck. So the Queen of Swords is telling me that that Australian voters are able to see through the BS, as we say. They're able to cut to the truth. So this is what happens in the poll. The polls. Now we have Rupert Murdoch again interfering in these elections. Some of the coverage from his media have been, quite. His recent poll showed the gaining of ground. How much faith should we put in polls which are directed or owned by the media outlets that Murdoch represents? I do feel that the Australian voters will have the say that they need to have, and that they're not going, they're going to be able to see through to the truth here. But what is the challenge here is restriction. And again, this card comes forward when there is an illusion of restriction, because this person can actually struggle and remove the binds that are binding them, remove those ropes, and step away from the prison. Isn't a a secure prison. This is somebody that can step forward. So they are being challenged by the right-wing rhetoric and this fear of change. However, the signifier card is that the truth will win out. Now, the foundation of the reading at this point in time, the campaign is stalled. You will see in campaign cycles where you have candidates starting off very strongly. Then you will have this smear campaign, and the fears are stoked, and things sort of stop for a while. Momentum stops, but we've still got a few weeks of the campaign to go, and will the ALP be able to regain footing and move forward? Now, what's in the past is telling me that there is a karmic aspect here, and the wheel of destiny is turning, and it is turning for change. The Knight of Cups is talking about the electorate is looking for more. They're dissatisfied with what they've received, what's been offered in the past, and they're looking for a new cause to believe in. They're looking for a new emotional attachments. The issues here in Australia are fairly similar to those worldwide in democracies. Voters are tired of money in politics. They're tired of trickle-down economics. The vast majority want more. They want something else. The immediate future. They want a greater share of the pie. I talked about trickle-down economics. This is the Queen of Pentacles. This is financial resources. They want stable financial resources. It's been a long time since the Australian worker has had a pay rise. They feel that they need a greater offer than what has been given to them in the past, where the companies, the elite, the moneyed elite are given the tax breaks, and the worker is made to hold the line, and there's not been enough coming to the average Australian family. Now, the foundation of the reading, they're looking for this. They're looking for that. We've got cups coming here, emotion and appealing to emotion. The ALP leader is a former union head of one of Australia's major unions, and it is the workers that he's appealing to. It is the average mum, dad and the kids. They're looking for that support, and it is around the money that will be important here. They're looking for the election promises around schools, around education, around health, around tax breaks for low and middle income earners. This trickle down economics, people want to see change. Now, the hopes and the fears is isolation. Now, this is going back to the campaign, where right-winged people, right-winged politics really instigate that fear of change, and they start to draw on people's fears. Will Australia turn into a socialist country? Will small business lose out? Will business lose out? And if that happens, then what happens? What occurs there in the economy? Will the ALP manage the economy safely? All of these questions are being generated at the moment, and they're all really. It's a form of gaslighting. Now, the Empress. The Empress is abundance here as an outcome card. We asked what are voters thinking. They're wanting a greater slice of the pie. The Queen of Wands, they're wanting to be inspired again by their politicians. And there's also an insecurity here as well. And also I feel that voters generally think that not enough of the money has flowed to them, the greater majority of voters. And what's hidden from our view is the Magician card. I feel that all these motivations, all these fears, all these issues that the Australian voters are concerned with are going to be resolved in the election, and I do feel that there is a karmic aspect to this election. just in line with what is going on globally as well in our democracies. I feel there will be a move toward providing more for the many, not more for the few. Now let's ask this question that we've all been wondering about here in Australia. Who's going to win the election? Now, previous readings has shown that the ALP is likely to be successful. However, the coalition has been gaining ground as the gaslighting or smear campaigns or stoking the fears. We don't actually have the I guess the gaslighting that you do have in America, but we certainly have the right-wing politicians stoking fears, which are largely unfounded. All right, will the Australian Labor Party win this 2019 election? Are we going to see a change of government in Australia? Change of government. Will the ALP win? Going to see a change of government. I'm hearing very strongly we're going to see change. Okay, so we feel the signifier card is somebody walking away. The question here is who? The challenge here is faction fighting. It's the politics itself. It's challenges and obstacles being put up in the way of an ALP victory. So I feel that right at this moment we're not getting a clear answer. However, the foundation of the reading is moving on. We've got the Six of Swords. That is somebody moving on, and it is to a better, we're moving into a better situation. Now, the Ten of Pentacles is again this, in the past, it is voters being concerned about their income, about their mortgage. This is the family ability or inability to get ahead. The Page of Cups, an offering being made. We've got strength and endurance in the immediate future. Strength and endurance. Who's going to emerge in that position here? Now, something's being actualized into reality. This card is actually came forward as something that was hidden to our view. The Seven of Pentacles is people in the environment around. Voters are disappointed here in the harvest. They're reevaluating. Now, balance, hopes and fears. The hope is for greater balance in our politics, a greater share of the pie for families. And we've got the Star of Hope, suggesting that the ALP, it's quite hopeful. The win is quite hopeful. Seven of Cups, though, is suggesting that right now voters, as a clarifier card, voters are, this is the card of the smoke screens. They're being led in, particularly led in a pathway that's not clear to them. And the Page of Pentacles is around money news here, so they'll be eagerly awaiting the election promises around, as I said, schools, education. Three of Pentacles is talking about this kind of dark money. One of the issues here that's coming forward very strongly at the local level is the amount of money in politics. This can be dark money, and it's also repairing that system. Now, that's an interesting card to come up, because the ALP has a voluntary disclosure that once their donations exceed $100,000, they declare who they are from. And I feel that this is going to be a tipping, this is going to tip the balance of favour in the ALP's favour. So, another issue, as I said, is climate change. I just want to have a look at the extent of the worry around climate change. The Australian Labor Party has, its policies are to move very strongly toward 100% renewables. So climate change is very strong on their agenda. Now, we have another party, a minor party in Australia called the Green Party, and the Greens platform is totally around caring for the earth and the environment. If this climate change issue is so strong in Australia, if voters are so concerned, then the Greens are likely to poll well, as are the Australian Labor Party. So how concerned are voters in Australia about climate change? They're looking for decisive action. This is an issue that inspires them, and they want action. This is the King of Rods looking for leadership. They want leadership on climate change. They are challenged by a loss here. They are challenged by loss. Some of the coalition's policies have moved us back toward a greater reliance on fossil fuels, and that has upset a lot of voters. Yeah. Okay, the Tower card. Right. Okay, my impressions were on the right track here. The foundation of the reading is people are concerned about the future of the Earth. We have reports here that tell us if we don't take action in the next 10 to 12 years, then the balance will be tipped against us in terms of climate change. So I feel that there's going to be a protest vote in this election because I think voters are seeing that it's been hard to get traction with the coalition government on climate change. The coalition government, one of the reasons that the former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull was rolled by his own party and removed from office was because he was seen to be a centralist on climate change. I feel this is going to be a really huge issue in the Australian election. At the moment, voters are still making up their mind, though, and it's also, again, stoking the fears around, if we move to 100% renewables by, X time, what happens if those renewables fail? Shouldn't we keep, some reliance on fossil fuels? There is this right-wing stoking of the fears, so that is the potential of this situation at this point in time. The Eight of Pentacles is showing that there's going to be quite a lot of, this is talking about legacy. So voters, again, in the immediate future, I think are going to be able to cut through this, this smoke screen. We're talking about the offer here on climate change. This is what they're looking for. We're talking about the atmosphere around. They're looking for decisive leadership on climate change. In the hopes and the fears, though, we've got the Magician coming forward. They're wanting things to be actualised into reality, but the other aspect of the Magician is the dirty trickster. Six of Rods, we've got victory here. This is a yes card. I feel that climate change is going to be huge. And we've got the Eight of Swords here as a clarifier. I feel that people are wanting to break out of this situation because I feel that the fear of climate, the need for action on climate change is going to be a lot stronger than the fear of what will happen if we do nothing. And we've got things coming forward quite quickly. I feel this is going to be a decisive issue in this election, and what is hidden from us, they feel like they've been betrayed and let down by the coalition government on climate change. It's as simple as that. Okay, so there are the issues here very quickly. I did promise a reading on the Australian election. I feel that some of these themes that are coming forward here in the Australian election are actually universal themes. I feel there's a warning for politicians, and as the youth vote becomes more important, we're going to see more of a focus on climate change. So I go back to Barack Obama's quote about the old politics of fear-mongering is actually old politics, and I feel this is where Obama is going here. Obama had a way of being able to tap into the youth and the future. Indeed, much of Obama's work since leaving office has been around that, setting up the Obama Foundation, training and connecting with and mentoring and bringing forward the leaders of the future. there is a strong movement here in Australia, as in other democracies, toward allowing our youth a greater say in our politics. So I feel that in the Australian election, the youth vote will be motivated around climate change, and I feel that this is going to drive the ALP forward, and also perhaps see the Greens vote, if they can campaign strongly enough, may see a return there if they can get their message through on climate change. But I do feel that there's going to be a victory here on this issue for the ALP, which is campaigning quite strongly on being the party that will do something about climate change. So extrapolate that as you will for your various countries. I hope that Australians and others who are interested in what's happening here in Australia can tune into this reading. I do have to have a caution here as well, because of the various times that these two cards came up in this reading. Now this is throwing smoke screens up. This is the politics of fear, and this is trying to obscure people's choices. And I feel this is why the coalition has made ground. And this other card came up quite strongly a couple of times. Both these cards appeared several times in this reading. Is the politics of fear going to be actualised into reality? Is this the dirty trickster? There is a caution in this reading, as in there is in America. Never underestimate the strength of of the dirty trickster, and the ability to throw the smoke in front of the situation and obscure the view, create the illusion there, so choice is very difficult, so that the ability to make a clear-cut choice is difficult, is harder than it needs to be. However, my feeling is that the Australian voter is feeling let down on the issue of climate change. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back with another reading again soon. Thank you.